Yo, it's Yerk, and I recently made the most realistic first-person mode in Fortnite, and we're going to check that out, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I did it, so you guys can create your own first-person mode in UEFN. Now, you can't do this in Fortnite Creative 1.0, but there are some aspects of this tutorial that are possible in Fortnite Creative 1.0 that will help you guys do similar things in your own maps. So if you guys are on console, please stick around for this one because I think those are going to be very valuable for you guys, and you'll be able to hop in and check out the map that you see me playing on screen as well. I think it's definitely one you guys are going to want to check out, whether you're in UEFN or 1.0. Basically, what the big difference between this and previous first-person modes is not only just the HUD on screen, showing like the first-person perspective of the gun, but it also tracks which weapon you're holding. So you can set this up to track any weapon, and as you can see when I build, all my weapons go away. You could hook that up to be like a blueprint. The reason I didn't do that is because right now there's not a way to track if it's someone's holding their pickaxe or if they're builds. So I didn't so I just left it as blank. But you guys can track any weapon. As you can see here, I have my shotgun out. Now I have my SMG out, and every time I switch weapons, it almost instantly updates to the weapon that I'm holding. Now you can use this same mechanic in 1.0 maps just without the custom HUD, but we're gonna hop into that right after this. But tell me this gameplay doesn't look awesome and doesn't make you want first person mode in Fortnite. I think it's super fun, and it's really cool that we can do stuff like this and experience Fortnite in first person now using UEFN. Alright, so first things first, we're going to need to gather up all the images that we're going to utilize for each weapon. Now to do this, what I did was I just went into a game, grabbed the weapons that I wanted to use, and then I just stood facing like a wall with little other details, and it would be like easy to like crop everything else out. So then I just stood up there against the wall and swapped through the guns that I wanted, and then I left the game and went into replay mode. Now using the drone free camera, I positioned the camera inside the player's head so it would appear as though I was in first person. Then I just paused and took a screenshot. Press play and repeat for all the weapons that you wanted and that you recorded in your game a minute ago. And oh, and by the way, I will make all the weapon images that I made for myself available in the description for download. But if you guys want ones that I didn't do, then you'll have to go and get them yourself. But next I opened up Paint 3D, which you should already have installed if you have Windows, but there's no need for Photoshop to do this, although I'm sure it would help. You can do this 100% here. Just open the image you just took, magic select it, and make sure that only the gun and the character's hands are selected. Remove anything else that you don't want, and then click done. So now you can go ahead and click on the background and delete that. And then we're going to come up here and click on the canvas, and we're going to set transparent canvas on and turn show canvas off. Then come up here and click save as image. Make sure you select PNG and then save, and I recommend naming this something like whatever weapon it is. But now back in the editor, we're just going to import our images, and then we're going to create a user widget by right clicking anywhere in our project folder and selecting user interface, widget blueprint. And then go ahead and name it and open it up. And I find it's easiest to just use one of the canvas panels. So drag and drop that in, and then you can just hit Control plus space to open your content drawer. And drag and drop your image into the canvas panel. You're going to need to go ahead and resize this and position this image on screen. And you want to kind of just guesstimate where it will look the most realistic. Now this can be different for different types of weapons. So this is really kind of like a guess and check, trial and error kind of thing. But once you have an idea of where you want it, go ahead and click compile and save. Now you'll probably need to do some readjusting later, but it's fine. You don't know where to make adjustments until you do this. So go ahead and close the window, and now repeat that process until you have one for every single gun that you want to include, and you're done and ready to go. As you can see, that's why I only did a handful, because this is kind of time consuming. But now we need to gather the devices needed to make this possible, and while I'm explaining what each device is going to do, you should place down the following devices: a conditional button, a HUD message device, a trigger, and a sequencer. That's really all it takes. So basically what we're going to do is set up a looping sequencer that's going to activate our trigger over and over and over and over again, and each time that it activates, it's going to signal to our conditional button to check if we're holding that item or not. If we are, it's going to forward that signal to our HUD message device to show the HUD widget that we set up earlier, and if we're not holding it, it's going to tell the HUD message device to turn off the HUD widget. It's pretty simple. So we'll take our sequencer, and the first thing we need to do is check mark the loop infinitely box. And then we're going to set the length to 0.5. This way the loop is super fast since we're only going to have a trigger inside of this sequence. But then you can set your start sequence to whatever you see fit for your map, but somehow or another it needs to get started. And next, go ahead and place down your trigger inside the sequence, and we can move on to the conditional button. So now in our conditional button, we're going to navigate through these settings here, and we want to turn off the consume key item setting. If we didn't turn this off, then the game would take our weapons away almost as soon as we pulled them out, which obviously we don't want. Then we're going to enter in our key item. Now keep in mind, rarity matters here. So if you want multiple rarities, you're going to need multiple conditional buttons. Then we're going to check the new requires holding setting. Now you'll need to set up a function that activates this conditional button whenever our trigger inside the sequence gets triggered. So you can use the same trigger for all of your conditional buttons, but each conditional button needs to activate when the trigger is triggered. Now the last step is the HUD message device. Again, you'll need one HUD message device per weapon that you guys want to include, but open the settings tab and set message recipients to triggering player. Then we're going to uncheck the show for duration setting because we don't want the weapon to disappear unless we tell it to. So once that's checked off, then we're going to clear the sound settings because it's super annoying every time you change weapons, the sound going off. So yeah, go ahead and turn all those off. And then we're going to come down to the placement setting, and we want to set placement to custom. Then we're going to go to the HUD widget setting, and we're going to click the drop down, and we're going to select the HUD widget for this weapon that we placed in this conditional button. And once that's done, you can go ahead down to the functions, and we're going to add a function to show this HUD widget whenever our conditional button is activated. Then we also need to set up a function to hide the setting to the hide setting, and again we're going to add our conditional button, and this time we're going to hide when the conditional button returns not enough items. Basically, this means that the player's not holding the weapon, which means we don't want the HUD widget on our player's screen anymore. Okay, and now finally, to get the first person perspective, you could use helipads if you're in 1.0, but if you're not, you can actually just come up here and click quickly add to the project. It's the little square cube thing with the green plus. Then you're going to go down to volumes, and you're going to set a blocking volume. So now click on your blocking volume, and you're going to want to come in here, and you're just going to find the collision preset, and you want to scroll through all of these until you find Fort Camera Only. Once you find Fort Camera Only, you're all good. Just make sure that your blocking volume is as big as your entire island or entire play area, and then you're good to go, and this will put you in the first person perspective automatically. So that is how you're going to make a first-person UEFN HUD, but now if you guys start the game, you may notice that you can't build because the FOV's all weird. So be on the lookout for part 2 of this tutorial coming out in a couple of days on the how to fix the FOV. But that is going to be how you guys can make first-person in UEFN. But in the meantime, before that video comes out, which it'll be linked down in the description when it is finally out, but in the meantime, go and play my map. Code is on screen now. Let me know what you guys think and tell me how much you guys want first person in Fortnite down in the comment. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay up.